All right, we're back. Graveyard Shift movie podcast, episode number 70. This week, it was my pick, and I picked the brand new, just off the presses. So that's what the kids say nowadays. Halloween Kills from 2021. That's the direct sequel to Halloween 2018. That this movie was supposed to come out like 2 other times, but then the Rona hit, and like it just kept getting pushed back. So I think it got delayed like 2 years or whatever. In the order of movies that's happening right now, this would be the third movie in the series because it goes the original Halloween, and then Halloween 2018, and then this one is supposed to be the third one. But also shout out Maverick never watched the 2018 Halloween, so watching this one, I would having to tell him like, all right, this is who this is, this is who that is.
Really, you don't even. You don't really need to.
You like, don't really
it's a Halloween movie, right?
Yeah.
A little background information, maybe on who the characters are.
Yeah.
You're good. Like,
yeah.
Honestly.
But this movie, all I've seen since it's come out is people either hate it or they love it. And for me personally, this movie's a fucking mess, dude. Like it's pretty bad. Like I wasn't even that big of a fan of the last one, but comparing the last one as I went over it in my brain, in my big old noggin, like the last one's just so much better now compared to I want Maverick, you should throw it on randomly one day and see the other one, because the other one had like a straightforward story of what it was doing, and this one was just all over the place. But I'm gonna rock a 3 for this one. I'll give it this best credit where credit's due. Movie's called Halloween Kills. It has some good kills. That's probably the best part of the movie, is the kills. But Maverick, what are you gonna give this one?
I'm rocking a 2 for this one.
Ooh.
Maybe I might change my mind. I doubt it.
Yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, the only reason I'm giving it a 2 is because the firefighter fight scene, or them jumping him at the end. Yeah. But even then, fucking ending sucked. So
ending's bad. To be fair, like I mentioned it at the end of the last podcast, we watched this. Bags had us over at his place. We had some beers and watched it there. It was a fun movie to watch with the fellas. Like, we were cracking jokes about it and shit. But like, if we're talking about quality movie, it's not very good.
No, yeah.
But anyway, spoiler warning for Halloween Kills. We're gonna ruin everything about it. It's on Peacock right now. If you don't want to go to the theaters, if you want to get Peacock, do that. But
not sponsored by Peacock.
Not sponsored by Peacock. But
or are we?
Yeah. But anyway, spoiler warning. You've been warned. Before the cast started, me and Maverick were talking. This movie's not very memorable. Like,
yeah, there's not a lot of like content, like meat.
Yeah, like I legit had to go and watch like a couple recaps and reviews to remember stuff. And I have like, also, you want to know, I didn't write any notes when we were doing this, and that's how I usually go down the movie. Is there a website that has like scene by scene what the movies are? Because I looked for one for this movie to use for this cast, and the best I saw was Halloween Wiki, or Halloween Series Wiki. And that's what I'm going to be using to try to remember most of the plot for this. To me, this was a movie that just didn't need to be made. Like, so the last Halloween, I don't think was billed as the start of a trilogy. It was billed as like, we're bringing back Halloween. Laurie Strode's going to fight Michael Myers. It's going to be cool. And people thought it was going to be a one-off. And then they ended it with locking Michael Myers in the basement of her like trap house that she had made, and and lighting it on fire. And that's how it ended. And then after that, the director came out and was like, oh yeah, we're going to do 2 more. We're going to do Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And so the whole first one was just set up to be a bankroll for the next 2 and like this trilogy of movies. And if you think about it, like the other Halloween movie could have ended with Judy Greer, who plays the daughter of Laurie Strode in this movie, getting killed. Because spoiler, she gets fucking killed at the very end of this movie. And Laurie Strode's already fucked up at that point. Nothing else happens in this movie that's of consequence to me. They could have just ended that movie with the daughter getting killed, Laurie Strode being fucked up. Because the next movie, Maverick, the director says is going to take a 4-year time jump. So,
holy shit.
Like, you didn't need this movie. You could have just had 2 movies and ended the last one with the daughter getting killed. And then the next movie, like, you could just start off with there's your time jump or whatever. But I don't know. It just really seemed like a nothing. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, yeah. Also, that the last one, the Halloween Ends, like, I heard some weird shit where he's gonna be like, they're gonna be talking about like the pandemic. There's gonna be like political commentary in it.
Oh no!
And I was like, what? Why? Like, there's some of it in here, which is the mob mentality shit that goes on. But yeah, it's like, why the fuck do I don't know, that it just seemed weird. Also, speaking of weird, I thought later on, I just wanted to mention this because I didn't. They bring in Loomis for like a flashback scene. And I thought it was like a deep fake shit. Apparently that was an actor. Like he just looked like Loomis and they put some prosthetics and shit on him. Goddamn, voice already. And they just put some prosthetics on him. But like Loomis, if you remember it, and the only reason I remember it is because I went back and watched some clips. Loomis is so fucking dumb in this movie. Like, he comes running in, and he goes, has Michael killed again? Has he killed again?
Yeah.
Like, it was so bad.
I swear that was, like, from the last movie, not 2018, but one of the other movies.
No, yeah, the whole beginning of the movie, I thought was cool, up to a point, which is, the movie starts off with, Judy Greer's daughter. I don't remember her name. So Laurie Strode's granddaughter, her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, who I told Maverick they were dating. They went to the school prom, and she saw him making out with some chick. So she like told him off, and then he took her cell phone and threw it in the punch bowl. And the only reason that scene was in there was so then later she couldn't call anyone when Michael Myers was chasing her down in the last Halloween movie. So it cuts to him, and he's walking down the street, and he finds the wounded Deputy Hawkins, who from the last movie, who we had learned in the last one was the cop who arrested Michael Myers. And he, in the last one, got stabbed in the neck by Michael's new therapist, who was obsessed with Michael Myers and was a student of Dr. Loomis. And that guy, Maverick, he was fucking weird, dude. Like, his whole character was just obsessed with, like, knowing what was going through Michael's head. So he killed, which we find out in this movie, he's still alive. But he kills Hawkins, stabs him in the neck, and then he, like, puts on Michael Myers' mask. Because in the scene before that, they're driving down the road and they see Michael Myers walking, and they just straight up run him over. And, like, oh, shit. It's pretty funny. And you think maybe it's like a fake out, but no, it's like Michael Myers. So then he just takes his mask off, and you get a really goofy shot of this new doctor standing up with like the Michael Myers mask on him, and his head's too small for it, and and all that shit. But anyway, her ex-boyfriend finds Deputy Hawkins, who somehow is alive through this whole being stabbed through the neck and bleeding out profusely through this whole thing. And he wakes up with and he grabs the guy, and you get smash cut into a very cool backflash. I keep saying backflash, but it's flashback. I say it every goddamn podcast. You get a flashback to the original movie in 1978, which is after the end of the original, which sees, Michael getting shot out of the window, and then when Loomis goes to look for him, he's gone. And they're like, dun 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 dun, It shows Hawkins and his partner, who I don't, that's just a nobody, seeing Michael, and they chase after him. And Michael goes into his old family home, the Myers house. And while they're in there, they see the dead dog that Michael was eating back from part 1. They're like, we got a dead dog in here. And I'm like, you sick fuck, Michael. You're in here.
How many, what was that, like 2 or 3 movies he ate dogs?
It was a lot. Because he ate a dog in the Rob Zombie ones. He ate one in the first one. And I think he might have eaten one in like 4 or 5 or 6.
Killed a cat too, didn't he?
He killed a cat. Yeah, I don't know. This fucker, yeah, he's eating the animals and shit.
And rats and shit, right?
Yeah, I think I remember the rats thing too. He was eating rats. Rats, what movie was the rats in? That really sticks out for some reason.
No idea.
I don't remember. But anyway, they follow him into his like childhood home, and they're walking around. They're like, "Hey, Michael, where are you at?" And then you get a really cool scene of just Michael hauling ass out of like that door, and he grabs the fucking the cop and just starts slamming him into the wall and shit. And I remember,
he really came out of left field on that one.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. We were on the couch and we were like, "Oh!" Like it was cool. And he starts beating the shit out of that dude. And then he grabs him, and Hawkins comes walking in. And like
Young Hawkins,
yeah. And is like pointing his gun at him, and he's like, "Let him go or I'll shoot,"
Let him go, little Michael.
Yeah, and then
like, no.
And maybe one of the dumbest moves in all these movies, he just straight up shoots his partner in the neck.
Yeah, he goes to shoot Michael. Just fucking shoots his partner in the throat.
Like, I don't even know where it was so off from where any of Michael's body would have been. It was real weird. And Michael just sort of throws down dude's dead body and then just goes walking past Hawkins down the stairs. Hawkins takes like a moment to look at his dead partner, but then he goes and starts shooting. It looks like he connects a couple times with Michael.
No, he missed every
Does he miss?
shot.
I like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he got at least one.
Because he shoots, like, after he shoots his partner in the neck, he shoots the window right next to Michael. And Michael just walks past him.
Just walks, yeah.
Then he takes a second, he's like, oh, fuck. So Michael's going down the stairs because they're on the second story. And then dude just starts trying to shoot him. Misses every single shot. You see him shoot like the railing and like the wall behind Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael's just doing his slow walk.
He just doesn't give a
And
fuck.
I'm like, how the fuck do you miss? He's like 5 feet from him, and I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna be something. This is like towards the beginning.
This is what sets the mood for the movie. And yeah, Michael goes like walking out of the front of the house. The guy Hawkins gives like one more look at his partner, and then he goes running out after him. And it cuts to outside, and Michael is surrounded by cops, and Loomis is there. And Hawkins like comes up behind him. I don't remember. I think he just has like a billy club or some shit, and he just starts like whacking Michael in the knees, and he gets him to where he's like on the ground. And then Loomis comes up, and my man Loomis is just gonna put a bullet in his head, and he's like, he's evil. And then the Hawkins stops him for some reason, and that will come back later because Hawkins talks about how he feels guilty because Loomis was gonna stop it. That Loomis was the real G like this whole time.
When Michael walks out the front door, Loomis comes in and he's like, "Did Michael kill again?"
Yeah, that's when. Yeah, he's like, "Did he kill again?" It's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
And he, the dude gets away with killing his partner because another cop comes up.
They cover for him.
Yeah, they covered it up. Dirty cops.
But anyway, so then after that, you get the classic Halloween titles with the pumpkins and the music. I didn't know. When I was looking shit up, I saw that it was like there was 11 pumpkins, and then the 12th pumpkin is set on fire because this movie is the 12th Halloween movie. So that's just a little, even though I'm surprised they count the Rob Zombie ones but they're Halloween movies. So but then we cut back to present day, and we go to a bar where Tommy Doyle.
Sure it's not back cut.
Fucking, we're a couple podcasts away from me saying that. Like it's gonna happen. And we go back to the present where Tommy Doyle, all grown up now, which I didn't realize it when it was happening, and then Bags is the one who pointed out that he's played by Anthony Michael Hall, who was the nerdy kid in the Breakfast Club who was like gonna kill himself and shit. But by the way,
oh fuck,
yeah, don't you remember?
How'd I miss that?
Yeah, he said it, and then the rest of the movie, all I could see was the Breakfast Club guy. Which, by the way, I don't know if they just like made it for the movie or something. And to be fair, he's like getting up there in age, looking old. Like, I don't know, he was looking a little haggard in this movie.
I don't remember which one that was. Like, I know the nerdy kid.
He was the one with the fucking baseball bat. The whole movie.
Was he really?
Yeah.
The bald guy?
Yeah, the bald guy.
Oh, shit. Yeah, there's no way you recognize him.
Or maybe because, I mean, yeah, if you think where you know him most from the Breakfast Club, and then he's that, you're like, man, this guy got old.
That's a jump. Boy.
Yeah. But anyway, it cuts to Tommy Doyle, and they're having like this fucking, just this nice little gathering, it looks like, at this bar. Having a good time. Someone's playing some music. And then Tommy Doyle gets up there and he just starts going, the massacre, the boogeyman. And really bringing down. Mood. Yeah, and kind of like Michael Myers has had a bunch of nicknames over the years, like the Shape and the fucking all this shit. I've never liked it when they call him the boogeyman, and they call him the boogeyman like 18 fucking times in this movie. It seemed like there's just something about the boogeyman. I'll give him like the first one. When Laurie, at the very end, Laurie Strode's like, was that the boogeyman or whatever? I'll give him that. But, like, everything else, I don't like the boogeyman moniker that they give him. But Tommy Doyle gets up there and starts talking about, if you guys ever seen the boogeyman and shit. And this is when he's like, it's the 40th anniversary, so we brought in Lindsay Wallace, who was the little girl from the original Halloween movie, who I mistook at the time because when they show the flashback, they show that girl getting choked by Michael from the back seat, and then they show her in the hospital, and I thought they were doing a retcon, and they were like, oh, that girl lived. But during that, they show the little girl who's getting sat, like on the couch. So that girl there was the little girl. It wasn't the girl who got choked, who I thought they were switching it out with. But the little girl from the first one, and they have the nurse from the first Halloween movie, who she was only in it for like 10 minutes. She's in the scene where he climbs up on the car and fucking bashes in the window and steals the car and drives away, which they do a callback to that later. And then also sitting there is Lonnie, who another one of the fucking kids from back in the day. He was friends with Judy Greer's husband and the girl's dad, who got killed in the last one. But Lonnie, who most famously probably was him going up to the Myers house in the first one and Loomis in the bush going, hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there. Lonnie like running off and shit. But, so they brought back some OGs, and like I said, he just really brings down the mood about the horrific murders and shit.
Yeah, he just gets on stage and goes off about Michael.
Yeah, and finally, and then he's like, we all owe our lives to Laurie Strode or whatever, and they're like, to Laurie, and they do a fucking shot.
They think he's dead, right?
Well, they think he's still imprisoned, because at that point, he got arrested after the first one, is what this story is. He was in prison for 40 years, and then he just broke out that night. And that's when he killed all them other people. And so this movie takes up. So I don't think they know he's out. No,
this is right after she burns the house down that she trapped him in, right?
Well, yeah, but they don't know any of that's happened.
Oh, they don't know that?
Yeah, because Lori, they're literally on their way from the hospital, or to the hospital from burning down the house. So I think they're just like, Michael Myers.
Did they help her out? See, I don't know the other movie, so
The other movie, they weren't in it. This is their first
okay.
time back.
So all they know is they came back and she's in the hospital.
Michael Myers has been in prison for the last 40 years, and he just broke out because he was getting transferred to a different prison, and then the bus he was on crashed. And there's been some theories about how Lori is the one that wrecked the bus because she kept talking about she was waiting for him to come back so she could kill him. There's theories that his doctor, who we find out's crazy, made the bus crash to let him go. But yeah, and then as that happened, because later on there's scenes with kids, and Maverick was like, "Oh, but Michael doesn't kill kids," and I was like, "Oh, well, you didn't see the last one." This dad and his son are like going out hunting, and they come across the bus, and his dad like goes out, and then the son hears some shit, and he goes into the bus, and then the doctor pops up, and he's like, "Wait!" And the kid's like, "Ah!" And he shoots him in the stomach, and then he goes running back to his car to like go and call someone, and then Michael from the back seat just reaches around and fucking breaks the kid's neck and shit. And so,
Oh damn.
yeah, so Michael's a thug in these movies. But anyway, so right after this scene is when Michael, who's still in this basement, getting burned or whatever, fucking firefighters show up. I guess in the midst of Lori's great plan, she didn't think to like turn off the smoke alarms or some shit. Like, I don't really remember if a neighbor called the cop or the firefighters. I don't remember who called them, but they show up, and they're going in the house trying to put out a fire. And then the one firefighter falls through the weakened floor from where Judy Greer in the last movie had like shot through the floor in this little basement area where they were hiding from Michael. And he falls through and he's like, "Oh shit." And he turns on his little like beacon for them to know where he's at. And then he like looks over and Michael has hidden himself in like the gun rack room behind the door, and he like slides it open, and that's how they're saying he survived this fire, as he just sort of hid in this extra room. And he comes out and immediately just like, is that the first guy who gets killed with the pickaxe through the fucking just on the ground or something?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, because then he comes out the front door and you get the scene that was in all the fucking trailers, which I did my best to avoid the trailers. Which is him coming out and standing on the porch, and all the firefighters looking at him. And I like the firefighters just know, like, dude's not to be fucked with, because they immediately like take their axes and get them ready to fight. Like, they don't even ask any questions or anything. Michael picks up a fucking that weird like firefighter crowbar looking thing, and he starts walking towards them. And a part of the movie I loved is the firefighter with the hose just starts like just spraying them, which in real life I think really would have blasted Michael off his ass.
Oh yeah, would have knocked him off his ass.
But in this movie, it doesn't do anything. And the guy, you get a first person of Michael sticking the crowbar thing through his mask. And then Michael, later in the movie, they started talking about how he's a 6-year-old boy with the strength of a grown man or whatever. But apparently this 6-year-old boy can fucking fight. Because, like, he's dipping and dodging and just beating the shit out of these cops. Or not cops, firefighters. And, like, he's stealing their weapons. He's axing people. It's
like a whole... Is it a platoon of firefighter? I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, what do you call it? A squad or something? I don't know. But
he takes out a whole fire department by himself.
He does.
It's insane.
The one guy even has like the big saw fucking thing, and Michael just turns it around on him and saws his head and shit. Michael just kills all the firefighters, and now he's free to roam the city. Which then the next scene, fucking the Lori and her daughter and all of them. They get to the hospital. They get Lori in there. Because Lori, I don't remember her being as fucked up as she is in this movie. But apparently she must have got fucked up in that last one. Because they're like, they rush her into surgery. And I remember she gets stabbed at one point. But in this movie, they're like, it's life or death. And they like rush her back there to get her all healed up and shit. As they're doing this, Michael then takes this opportunity to go and break into the house of an elderly couple. And my poor elderly couple, which, if I remember right, Michael kills the husband by breaking like the glass on the window and the door, and then sticks his head or his neck through it.
Yeah.
And then the wife is standing there with a knife, and she's just shaking and shit. And Michael goes over and grabs like a fluorescent light tube and just breaks it and just comes and sticks it in her neck. And like,
she couldn't get the door unlocked. She was trying to run away. Like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
You turn it fucking left or right, and then you just go.
Yeah, I don't know. And we were sitting there like, oh shit, like this is wild. And then also after that, you get a scene that I like, which is Michael has put the husband like on the table, and the wife is there. She's still alive, but she's bleeding out. She's dying or whatever. But Michael is just taking every kitchen knife that she has and like testing it in dude's back.
Yeah, just stabbing him
to see
and
which
then
one.
Get another knife.
Yeah,
stab him. Get another knife. Stab him. There's like a dozen knives.
There must have been a dozen knives. Yeah, and then finally he gets one, and he like does a couple slashes, and he's like, huh, and he just walks out of the kitchen.
Good enough.
It leaves him there. This is when an emergency alert has gone up in the bar that Michael Myers has escaped prison, and and all the murders are taking place. They're like they talk about the victims from the last movie, who was a couple teenagers and shit. As it's on the TV screen, you see a character by the name of Julian, who was a little boy who was getting babysitted in the last movie by one of the girls who gets killed. And he was great, Maverick. He was one of the best parts of the movie. Because he's like, if I had a real babysitter, I wouldn't be here clipping my dirty-ass toenails at 8 at night or whatever. And as they, like, because he sees Michael up there, and as, like, this one guy's going to save the girl, he's like, you're going to die, Dave. Don't do it. He was really good. And so you see him on the TV, and he's like, oh, yeah, my babysitter's dead or whatever. And I bring that up because then, if I remember right, there is the couple in the movie who's dressed as like the nurse and the doctor, and it's their son who's on the TV, and they're like, "What, Julian?" And so anyway, so they're like, "Oh shit, Michael Myers has escaped or whatever," and so the one girl dressed as the nurse, like goes to get into her car, and as she gets into her car, something moves in the back seat. And she's like, she gets out and she's like, Michael Myers is in my back seat. And this is when the movie just like goes off the rails for me, because immediately everyone starts grabbing weapons. Tommy grabs his fucking baseball bat that he carries around the whole movie. They go walking real slow out to the car. The car revs up. Someone's in the driver's seat. And Tommy gets to it, and even if there's someone in the car, like, this is still this person's car, the first thing he does is just whack it on the hood with his baseball bat. And if I was there, I would be like, hey, hold on,
That's my whip, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
They start swarming. Dude starts beating the shit out of it, and the car just, like, drives off.
Takes off, yeah.
And then it wrecks into, like, an electrical box or something, and gets all fucked up. And they go over there, and no one's in there. But then around the corner, you see this other escaped mental patient who will be a big part of this movie, apparently. But it wasn't Michael Myers all along. It was just this other guy who stole their car. But after that, now that just makes the whole town. Tommy's like, we got to do it. And this is when you get one of the first instances of him saying, evil dies tonight. And man, do they say that a lot in this movie. Like, they even start chanting it and shit. They're like, evil dies tonight. And this whole mob is just, after Michael Myers. They're like, we're going to fucking hunt him down. Back in the hospital, Judy Greer and her daughter get informed that Michael has escaped. They tell they tell the doctors not to tell Lori because they're like, let her, she doesn't need to be getting all crazy and shit. As this is happening, Judy Greer's daughter, the ex-boyfriend who found Hawkins earlier alive, he shows back up, and he's like, hey, I'm real sorry, and she blows him off for like a second, but then immediately turns around and starts hugging him and shit. Like, he gets forgiven really easily in this movie, which I guess in the grand scheme of things, if your friends just got murdered and shit, like, maybe you can put some of that stuff behind you. But I don't know, it just seemed weird that he was, like, accepted back into the fold immediately. But fucking he's like, hey, we're gonna go hunt down Michael, and fucking Judy Greer's daughter's like, all right, I'm in, and they go out to this car where Tommy just has all these like guns and shit.
He has a fucking arsenal.
Yeah, and I call bullshit because the girl immediately like grabs the sawed-off shotgun or whatever. And it's like, she's never fired a weapon in her life before. And like, the first time she shoots it, it's just going to fly out of her hands. The one guy grabs like a Glock or something. And then his wife, that's dressed as a nurse, says, oh, you've never shot that before. I know what I'm doing with those. And so she takes it from him. Keep in mind, she literally just said, I know how to use those. So give it to me. Keep that in mind for later.
Are you talking about the couple that got their car stolen?
Yeah, that same couple.
It wasn't a Glock. It was a fucking Desert Eagle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
50 cal because Desert Eagle.
The whole time you were like, he's got a fucking deagle.
Like, yeah, where the fuck? That gun's like $3,000. Yeah, just the gun. Fucking, it's a 50 cal bullet. And you get to a part that's coming up where they get into a fight with fucking Michael.
Uh-huh.
And this lady who's, like she said, never shot before. Fucking, at first she runs away. Then she comes back after her husband's dead.
Uh-huh.
And starts shooting at Michael. Misses every shot.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fucking deagle has no recoil. Like I said, it's a 50 cal.
Yeah.
This thing would break your wrist.
Yeah.
And then the way she dies is the last bullet, she goes up straight to Michael. He just grabs her wrist, or like hits the gun or some shit. No, turns it around, or he kicks the car door. He kicks
the door, and it just goes and shoots her.
So it hits her. He kicks the car door. It hits her hand, and she shoots herself in the head.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay.
Which
dude.
Also, like the scene happens later, but like they're getting attacked in the car. She climbs out of the car, and there's a full like 5 minutes of him fighting someone else in the car. And the whole time we're like, where the fuck did she go? After her husband gets killed.
Got the fuck out of there.
Yeah. After her husband gets killed, it cuts, and she's like down the street now running towards the car going, and shooting. And then, yeah, Michael just kicks the door, and she like shoots herself in the head. So.
Yeah, well, I guess right before that, they pull up to the park. I forget who's in the car. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They all die. So they
all but one park. That doesn't make any sense that we'll get into.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Pull up to this park because they see little kids on the swing set. The little kids say, or they're telling little kids to go home because Michael's out tonight.
Yeah.
And the little kids are like,
"Oh yeah, I forgot about this part."
They're talking about some shit, and they're like, "There's this creepy guy that's playing peekaboo behind the trees."
I think they even say they're like, I think he wants to molest us or something like real weird.
Some shit.
And they're like, oh, there he is.
Michael. Yeah, they're like, oh, there he is. They turn around, it's fucking Michael.
He's just standing there, chilling.
Yeah, he's standing there, but he has their friend. They said the little kids are waiting on their friend to get there.
Yeah.
And when Michael pops out, he's holding their friend's mask, and in the mask is his
head. Yeah.
It's a little kid's head. And I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Which these little kids who are wearing the fucking mask from Season of the Witch, the mask that would then kill the kids. Yeah, it's a witch and a pumpkin and the skeleton or whatever. And man, when the trailer dropped for this, they're in the trailer and everyone was like, "Oh, the Season of the Witch mask." And the whole time I'm like, those fuckers were in the last movie. Like everyone lost their shit about those masks. I was like, they were there like the last time. What are we doing? But anyway. Yeah, that was that. I forgot all about that scene.
I want to say it was one of the better scenes besides the chick running away for 5 minutes and then coming back.
Dude.
Because I found it was bullshit. Because she takes the gun from her husband,
Yeah.
or boyfriend or whatever. She's like, you don't know how to use it. I do.
Uh-huh.
And then when shit comes to fucking shove, like shit hits the fan.
Shit comes to shove. I love it.
Fucking. She like shit hits the fan. And as soon as it does, she hops out the window, the car window, and fucking takes off.
Dude, I don't know where she went.
And like she took dude's gun.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
We were convinced she must have ran away, and it was like, oh damn, I guess I should go back. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Also, can I just mention that every like 15 or so minutes, Bags is sitting there, and he would just go, "I'm terrified." And it was funny every time he said it. But yeah, so also, after the whole mob thing gets formed, we go to a gay couple who earlier on in the movie had got like ding dong ditched by, or not even ding dong ditched. They come up and knock on their door, and they're like, "Hey,
trick or treat."
Yeah, the kid out here, he bit on a razor. It was in his candy. And then like they just have like one of the other kids go into their house and slam the door, and they're like, "Oh, someone slammed the door." But then it's just the kids pulling a prank. And then the one guy is like, "Michael Myers murders people," because we find out that they're living in the old Myers house, and they've bought it.
Yeah, they had renovated it.
Yeah.
It looks pretty nice.
It looks nice. And so, yeah, they scare the kids away. Also, their names are Little John and Big John. So there's that. But one of them, I want to say Little John. Yeah! Little John is, I had to. You know I had to. I mean, but Little John is played by Michael McDonald, or is that his name? From Mad TV. Who, as it was happening, we were like, I think that's the Mad TV guy. And Maverick was like, yeah, it is. And I looked it up, and it was the Mad TV dude. But I just want to point out a fun fact, that he now has the distinction of, he got killed in Michael McDonald, yeah, is his name. He was killed in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. He's the guy who gets slowly flattened by the steamroller. So he has the distinction of being killed by Michael Myers and now Mike Myers. Oh, so that's a fun fact. But anyway, later on that night, Michael does in fact break into their house. And man, you get a super drawn out, like, it felt like 10 minutes. At one point, I was even like, this scene's still fucking going. Like, they grab the smallest knives possible, and they just go walking through their house and shit. And finally, Big John gets, like, strangled to death, I'm pretty sure. And then Little John, Michael McDonald, comes up, and he sees Michael standing there, and he goes, "Michael." And Michael turns around and looks at him, and my guy goes, "You've come home." And I was like, that's what you say. And Michael's like, "Thanks for presenting yourself," and he immediately kills him. Also, this has sparked a thing which I've seen some people say that Michael Myers is homophobic now. Like some super radical people are like, "I didn't expect Michael Myers to be, anti-gay or whatever in this movie." And it's like, really? Like,
I think it would have been homophobic
not to kill him. Equality.
Yeah. Like, everybody dies.
Yeah. Even though I will say that gay couple really did kind of seem like a stereotypical. Oh, they seem like a stereotypical, like, they were very gay. Like, if that makes sense. Oh. Like, they were movie gay, where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like gay people, they just act normal. You don't have to make them like, oh, like,
Oh.
Yeah, like,
they deserve to die because first of all, they knew they were moving into Michael Myers'
knew that
house.
shit.
And then they came back and, like, they really didn't put up much of a fight.
They didn't put,
rolled.
or just fucking leave. I don't know how many times Bags was at one point was like, why doesn't no one just fucking move? He was like, why does everyone? And then when everyone starts joining the mob and walking around, he's like, I'd be at home watching the news, like this shit's crazy. Like, but yeah, I don't know, but I will give him, because it makes sense that someone would move into that house, because no matter what happens, what tragedy happens in the house, it immediately takes down like the value, and someone's gonna buy that fucking house and turn around. I think have you ever seen the YouTube video of them guys interviewing that guy, and he's like, yeah, whenever there's like a national tragedy, I always go on vacation to that place.
Go vacation there.
Yeah. But anyway, so he kills Little John and Big John, because there's something that I didn't notice the first time watching it, but during watching like recaps and shit, Hawkins himself, I believe, reveals a thing that like Michael's never been after Laurie. It was the doctor that brought him to Laurie's house or whatever. Michael just wants to go home and stare out the window of his sister's room.
They mentioned this fucking
window, dude.
Oh my! They mentioned it like 90 times.
The last movie that you didn't watch, they were obsessed with Michael talking. Like every time they're like, he hasn't spoken in 40 years. Every time someone's about to die, they're like, say something, Michael. And they were just obsessed with it. This movie, they never mention it, but goddamn, they focus on that window. Like the home, they're like, he loves to stare out his the window of his sister's bedroom and shit. Anyway, this is when it then cuts to that escaped convict from earlier, who stole the car, is now at the hospital. And somehow in the middle of the confusion, a news broadcast had occurred that pointed out, and they speculated that that guy was Michael Myers. Like, it's on TV, and they have, like, his picture, and they're like, escaped convict kills again, or whatever, right? And this causes the mob to just chase this guy all through the fucking hospital. And it was just so fucking dumb, because, like, Tommy knows what Michael Myers looks like. Like, he's big, tall dude, skinny, blue overalls, and white mask, you know? And this very, I think, one of you said he was, like, built like the Penguin.
Yeah, this escaped crazy guy was in a full, like, white jumpsuit or some shit. He was short and pudgy. He looked like the fucking Penguin from one of the older Batman movies.
Yeah, and they are convinced it's Michael Myers, and this is supposed to be what fucking the director's like sort of message is like this mob mentality of not believing just everything you hear and then immediately acting upon it and shit, and it's just all this weird stuff which I'm not sure fully works or needs to be here. Like, or I take that, you can throw that in there, but I think there might be a better way to do it. But they keep chasing this fucking guy around, and eventually he's like hiding behind a corner, and Judy Greer comes walking around the corner, and she's like, hey, I'm not gonna hurt you, right? And she like tells him to follow him, but then she just kind of puts him in this like walkway and locks both doors on both sides and just leaves him there. So then like the mob shows up and sees him, and they start breaking in, and they start playing some sad music, and dude's like breaking the window, and the whole time we're like, is this dude gonna fucking jump? And he just jumps out of the hospital and kills himself. Which once again we called bullshit, because he jumps like face down, and then when they show him, he's like turned over, and we were like, did he land and then like turn over on his back? Like, but yeah, and his fucking I don't know, that whole hospital chase scene was just wild.
It was weird.
As this all is happening, Laurie finds out that Michael escaped. And she's like, I'm going to kill him. And she, like, injects fucking morphine or adrenaline into her ass. And then, like, I was like, all right, here we go. Because keep in mind, Laurie has not done anything. Laurie, who may be
hospitalized the whole...
Yeah. Who's, like, been the center focus besides Michael Myers through, like, you know, all this shit. has not done anything. So she injects some shit into her ass. She's like, I'm gonna go kill Michael. She maybe gets like a couple doors down before she like runs into some. She knees a dude in the dick for some reason. I remember it was like a hospital guard that came to stop her, and she was like, need him in the dick. But then she like bumps into someone, and she's like, my stomach, and that's it. She never, from that point on, they take her back to her hospital bed, and that's where she is the whole movie. She doesn't do anything in this movie. She did more in Halloween 2, the first one, where she was in the hospital and like crawling around. And in Halloween 2, she took a nap for 30 minutes in a room. Like she crawled into a dark room and locked the door and took a nap. But anyway, so fucking after this is when or maybe it's not. Yeah, at some point in between all this is when Michael attacks that car that we mentioned. And when he attacks the car, he breaks it in the same style that he does in the first Halloween. The same. Do you remember how they did it? Man, if you get the... Do you remember how they broke the car window in the first one?
Is that when the nurse was outside the gate?
That's what, yeah, and the nurse was sitting in the car, and he jumps over the back.
He had like a bloody hand, right?
He had the wrench that they had just like put flesh paint on, and he broke it. They do the same thing in this movie. The same exact thing. They just put to give it like that same exact look from the first one. But that's when he breaks in to that. I'm pretty sure he kills the nurse. I think everyone in that car gets killed. The couple, the nurse. And then Lindsay Wallace, the little girl from the first one, is also in that car. And she goes running. And Michael is, like, chasing after her and shit. And she, like, hides behind a bush or something. They're, like, in a swamp. Michael's on, like, a walkway.
Yeah, well, there was, like, a river or something.
Yeah. And she hides behind, like, this weird bush-looking thing. And that works. She at the time, because Michael just goes walking off. And when the movie got over... I was like, whatever happened to that girl? She just disappeared. But apparently I missed, there is a scene where they find her. But, like, they find her and she's all fucked up. And people think there's a deleted scene where Michael does more damage to her or something. But she lived. So she successfully hid from Michael Myers. I don't know of anyone else I can name off the top of my head who just hid behind a bush from Michael Myers and lived. But she did it. So... During all this is when Judy Greer and her daughter and everyone find out that Michael is just trying to get back to his family home. And so Lonnie and the daughter and her ex-boyfriend, her maybe boyfriend at the time, still go to Michael's house. At some point, Lonnie... Oh, my bad. Lonnie also is the dad of the boyfriend. Of the ex-boyfriend. But Lonnie gets killed by Michael Myers. I don't remember how, but they find his body in the attic when they go up there. And then they like...
Well, yeah, 'cause he enters the house first and he tells his kid, like, stay in the car.
Yeah.
So he goes in. Dude goes in the front door and the kid's like, no, fuck that. And goes in right after him.
Yeah.
And then you get, like, the kid's point of view where he's walking through the house and he's like, Dad. Then he goes upstairs and in like the attic door, he sees his dad like crushed in it,
just all fucked up,
just dead. Yeah. And then I think Michael chases him after
that. Because then right after that is like Michael pops out, and he goes chasing after him, and also, at this point, I forgot, is the daughter came in with them, and she just, like, eats shit down the stairs. And in this thing I'm reading, it writes that she broke her leg. I don't remember her breaking her leg, but I remember her eating shit down the stairs. And so as she's down the stairs is then when Michael, like, just starts slamming dude's head into the side. And he's about to kill him. So then the girl from downstairs starts going, hey... come get me, come get me. And you think it's working, and he's like starts walking halfway downstairs, but then he stops and looks over, and the boyfriend's laying there with his head like over the side, and Michael just grabs his head and just starts twisting it. Yeah. And they're either the ex-boyfriend or whatever is dead, broke up neck. Michael then comes down, gets a few shots in on the girl, but right before he can kill her, Judy Greer pops up behind him and stabs him with a fucking pitchfork in his back. And during this, somehow his mask falls off. I don't remember how it fell off. But his mask falls off. Judy Greer grabs it and she's like, "Hey, asshole, come get your mask." And she goes running away. And you get some really bad shots of Michael, just now old man Michael in these oversized overalls walking like real mean, like through these backyards. And I didn't like it. The scenes with Michael without his mask. But yeah, and she leads him into a trap because as she's standing there in the street holding his mask, he walks out and then the town mob pops out.
Yeah, the mob.
Yeah, and they're like, "Evil dies tonight, Michael." And they just start beating the shit out of him. One person has like a sack of bricks. Like, there's a guy with brass knuckles. Yeah.
A pillowcase filled with like rocks.
Yeah. Shit. Tommy's got the bat. I don't know where that shotgun that the girl had from earlier disappeared to, but it's nowhere to be seen.
None of them have guns.
Yeah, none of them have guns.
Like melee weapons.
And they beat the shit out of him. Pags was sitting there and he's like, "I feel bad for Mikey." Like,
they jumped the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's getting the shit beat out of him. And then as he's like down on the ground, and he's like reaching for his knife, Judy Greer comes and takes it and then stabs him in what looks like the back of the neck. And it's like, oh, Michael Myers is dead. But as everyone's celebrating and all this shit, you get a weird monologue with Laurie talking about how Michael, his real power is fear and not like him himself and all this shit. And as she's talking, it cuts back and Michael is getting back up from this ass whooping. And once again, just like the firefighter, he just starts John Wicking all these motherfuckers.
Yeah, he takes them all on.
He kills them all. Tommy's the last one to go, which he's down on the ground, and Michael uses his own baseball bat against them, and Tommy gets fucking dinged.
Mash his fucking head in.
Yeah, dinged in the head. As that's happening, Judy Greer is now back at the Michael Myers house, standing at the sister's bedroom, and she's once again. She's like, he loved to stare out his sister's bedroom window, and like it's bullshit, cause like Michael was like 6 or whatever when he killed his sister when he was in that little. Oh, by the way, do you remember the scene that we were confused where? I don't remember who it was, but they were passing the Myers house and they look up in the window and it looked like someone was standing there. But then when it cuts back, no one's there. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Well, that happened, and I remember we were like, "Who was that?" Because it looked like someone was standing there. It was like a mirage of Michael Myers when he was in that clown costume from the OG when he killed his sister or whatever. So it was little Michael standing in the window. But did that scene need to be there?
That costume was pretty dope.
It was cool. But anyway, Judy Greer standing at the door or window, and she's like, he loved to, stand here. And then as she's thinking this, Michael Myers pops up behind her, and she like turns around, and you get a bunch of flash cuts of him just like stabbing her, and then in between this, it'll cut to Laurie like just staring blankly, and they kind of make it seem like she can either sense it or she's watching it happen as it's going on through the hospital. Because then after Michael's done killing Judy Greer, he like stares out the window, and it like does a thing where it's showing both of them looking, and it's kind of like they're staring at each other. And then the movie ended. And Maverick, you can attest to this, that it got done, and I went, there's no fucking way that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, the credits pop up, and Tom's like, no fucking way.
I thought there was like 30 minutes left in this movie. Like, it seemed like so abrupt. Yeah, I don't know, and that ending really got me. And of course, that ending is all to just set up the next movie. Which at this point, like, I don't know. I was kind of hyped for Halloween Kills, but like my hype is gone.
Yeah.
Like when the next one, whenever it comes out, I'm sure like maybe they'll win me back somehow. But this one really, it was a mess. Like I said, that the 2018 one could have ended with Judy Greer getting killed and Laurie being fucked up, and they could still do a time jump, and you didn't need this in between with this mob and shit. I don't know. My nose itches too. But anyway, this movie had a budget of $20 million. It's made a box office so far of $60 million. So it's definitely making the money. Not to mention whatever cut they get from like Peacock and shit. Because like I said, that's how we watched it, was through Peacock. Also with this movie, this will be Jamie Lee Curtis's 5th Halloween movie. So she has now surpassed Donald Pleasance, who played Dr. Loomis, for appearing in the most Halloween movies.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Loomis was in a lot of them, motherfuckers.
Loomis was in a lot of them. They say 5. Doesn't seem like he was in more. Because he was in 1, 2, 4, 5. And then he was in the one with Paul Rudd, where Paul Rudd in the 6th one played Tommy Doyle. But apparently they decided not to bring him to play Tommy Doyle in this one.
Well, he was older now, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think he died before fucking H2O came out. I think he died after 6. If I remember right. I don't know. Also, speaking of dying, I saw that that mental patient who they chase around, through the fucking movie, he passed away before this movie came out.
Damn.
So, rip my guy. Which, yeah, like I said, because they filmed this movie forever ago. And then,
really?
Yeah, and then it just kept getting pushed back and shit. But yeah, let's see what else we have for this one. This is the only Halloween movie which has both Laurie and Michael in it, where they share no scenes. Every other movie they've at least interacted. But this movie,
that's true. Yeah, they never really.
Yeah,
I guess the last movie had a lot of that.
The last movie, there's like full on fights and shit. But also, I saw an earlier cut of the film ended with Laurie calling her daughter, Judy Greer, and Judy Greer talking to her as Michael killed her, and then they would recreate the scene from the first one where Michael picks up the phone and they're both like, and he's just breathing into the phone, and that's how it would have ended. I honestly think I would have enjoyed that ending better. Like, I mean, I don't know, that just seemed like a cooler way to do it. But yeah. And then also, this movie, so far, at least on this count, has 28 characters killed, which breaks the record previously held by Rob Zombie's first Halloween remake and Halloween 5, which was 20. So
yeah, he killed a fuck.
He did, people. Like I said, yeah, they definitely went through with the name Halloween Kills. Like, yeah. People kept comparing these movies to the Rob Zombie ones, and they were like, the gore is almost as good as the Rob Zombie ones.
No.
But, yeah, I don't...
Not even close.
Like, he has some creative kills, but none of them, I think, looked that great. Like the Rob Zombie ones, I mean, that guy getting his fucking head stomped in that bar or whatever, like, that was crazy. The guys who hit the cow at the very beginning of the second one, and they're just all fucking, like... yeah, like, the gore in it, like, some of the kills were cool, but gore-wise, I don't know. Them Rob Zombie ones, I think.
You got, like, a couple in this movie where it was, like you said, the fucking pickaxe to the head.
Pickaxe to the head.
And then the baseball smash, like pumpkin fucking, or the watermelon head thing. But
I would say, yeah, my favorite would probably be the girl getting the fluorescent light tube through the neck. Just because it was so just stuck it through her neck.
Yeah, he sort of, and it was kind of slow too. It was like a very fast motion.
But yeah, I don't know. But like, it's all around, like, this movie's really forgettable. I don't know. Let's do best of, worst of. My best of I'm gonna say that jump scare with Michael coming out of the room at the beginning flashback when he grabs the guy, because it was like, you don't see Michael hauling ass like that, and yeah, it fucking is good. My worst of, boy, there's a lot to choose. I don't know. My worst of is probably gonna be them chasing that fucking mental asylum dude through the hospital, because it was just so, I was like, what's going on? But anyway, Maverick, what's your best of, worst of?
Worst of probably be the the gay couple dying. That it sucked.
You've
It didn't
come
make any
home.
sense. Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and of
Michael's
course the
anti-gay.
anti-gay. But yeah, it just sucked. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
Um, and then homegirl shooting herself in the face. That was the funniest part
It
of
was
that
funny,
scene.
yeah.
The whole scene itself sucked.
Yeah.
Um, and I had one more, but I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
I think the best of was probably them jumping him at the end before he gets up again and kills him.
Uh-huh.
And then the firefighter scene.
Firefighter scene
Even
was
though
cool.
I feel like the firefighter should have put it more. Like, I don't even think they landed a hit.
Yeah.
Besides the fucker with the fire hose.
Yeah.
like,
like I'll stick to my guns. I think it's a little ridiculous how like smooth Michael Myers was fighting, but admittedly it is cool just watching him take out like a group of firefighters.
I want to say, like, was this the first movie where he killed that many people in that like small amount of time? And like, there was, like, a big group of like a dozen people where he just takes them all out.
The only one I can think of is Halloween 6, because it ends with when he has all them doctors around him, remember? And he just starts slashing when they're doing all that weird science shit. What? Oh. Hear all this shit going down in my house?
Someone's dying.
That's fucking Ben. When someone calls the house phone, he just starts... But anyway, what was I say? Yeah, but the Halloween 6, I remember he killed all them doctors. But I can't think of another one where it's just a group of people and he just starts fucking... I don't know. But, hey, also, shout out to Bleak, Bag's cat, who, when we were over there, I kept forgetting where he was, and then he would jump out randomly. And every time I was like, ah! It scared me every time.
I'm scared of pussy, man.
Why? Why you gotta do that? But,
yeah.
Anyway.
He jumped every time. It was scarier than the fucking movie.
Yeah. But, anyway. Also, I saw, watching these videos, there was a theory that I liked, where some people liked the idea of when they beat up Michael at the end, that really was killing him. And then when Laurie was talking about, Michael's real power is fear and shit, that the next movie would be about, like, overcoming the fear that his legacy is left behind. But he's, like, dead. I don't know how they would have done it, but that sounded interesting. But at the same time, I mean, you look at Halloween 3, where they don't have Michael Myers, and everyone shit on that movie. So I imagine they wouldn't want to make another Halloween movie that doesn't have Michael Myers in it. But it was an interesting theory. Because then at the same time, then when he gets back up, the guy I was watching was, he was like, so now it would seem that the problem with Michael Myers is fear and him himself, because he is still getting up from these fucking... But, anyway. Alright. Well, that's the wrap on Halloween until fucking 2 more years or whatever, when that third and final one comes out. That, like I said, is supposed to have the time jump. And the director's like, it's going to have a twist ending that no one sees coming. And it's like...
another movie.
Yeah, that's exactly... It's like, yeah, it's not going to be the end of the fucking...
the final.
The final. But, anyway. Maverick, it's your pick next week. Do you have a pick ready to go?
Not yet. I have some ideas.
All right.
So,
okay.
I either pick something really, really stupid, like let's say, like a really cheesy horror flick, like The Anaconda, or like a knockoff
Fucking
Jaws,
Anaconda, dude.
like the fucking crocodile in the fucking
Lake
hospital,
Placid
whatever the
and
fuck.
shit.
Yeah. Um, or I'm looking in some like anime horror, like really good anime horror.
Hmm.
I'll find something. I don't know yet.
All right. Yeah, I
Look
have
for something
felt
good.
that also, to be fair, view wise, even though the views aren't everything, but it's nice to get them. It like if it was up to me, I'd probably just be picking the cheesy, like fucking crazy horror movies every week. But like I get, not everyone cares about these random. But it is fun. I have felt like we're lacking in the random. So on the list of movies I have picked, I've started adding some. Like one of them involves just a killer tire. Which is
Oh god, we need more beer.
which is a
Oh
classic
shit.
that me and my dad stumbled upon one day at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just on a random station, and we were like, "What the fuck is this?" And we watched that whole movie, and it was amazing. So, but anyway, all right. Well, Maverick will whatever he'll pick, it'll be here. Hey, all right. So Maverick didn't choose anime horror or any Lake Placid or Anaconda movies. He chose some movie called The Night House that came out in August. So look forward to my dog is snoring in the background. Bitch. Anyway, The Night House next week. Tune in. All right. There you go. That's what we're watching next week. Also, Halloween episode will be coming out with we are watching Trick or Treat. Also, can I say, Maverick, for years I always pronounced that movie Trick or Treat, because I thought that was how it was pronounced, but it is just Trick or Treat. It's not Trick or Treat. It's just Trick or Treat. So I've been pronouncing that movie wrong all along. I watched it yesterday. I can confirm this might give away a little bit what my ranking is. It's a Blu-ray movie. It's up on the wall right now. So, but anyway, it's just a fun Halloween watch. So we'll do that for the Halloween episode. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for watching Halloween Kills. Hey, let us know what you thought about this movie in the comments.
If you watch, honestly, if this last one isn't any good, I don't like. Why waste your time on like 6 hours worth of shit movies?
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, so like I said, that Halloween episode Trick or Treat will be coming out. Whatever Maverick picked, shorts, all that good stuff. Maverick, got anything want to add before we sign off?
Not really.
All right. Once again, not sponsored by Peacock,
Not sponsored.
unless we are.
Unless.
Yeah. And anyway, all right. We'll see you guys next week.